Thank you for joining me today. I'm Madeline Blair, and this is Unlocked. You can't have a successful career unless you know how to deal with the unexpected. And Unlocked is all about opening possibilities so that when you are hit with the unexpected, you have options from which to choose. Now, if you're curious about the background of our show, check out my book, Unlocked. It's available on Kindle, audio, and paperback. All right. Our topic today is one that I've tussled with for a long time, but delighted that we're dealing with it. It's about women returning to work after a break. 43% of highly skilled women leave the workforce after becoming mothers. 37% of working women with children eventually decided it was best for them mentally to get back into the workforce. Nearly half of working women with children say they considered a career pivot instead of returning to their old jobs. And 93% of mothers reported anticipating bias in the return to the work process, and 73% of stay-at-home moms faced significant bias when re-entering the workforce because of their status as parents. In 2021, about 80% of the women who returned to work took a big hit financially. Only half were able to return to secure full-time jobs with benefits. It often means redefining what a career means. What does a woman have to do to prepare herself for the challenges of re-entering the workforce? She may feel out of date. She may feel too old from being able to do what she used to do. She may be disappointed that her early career goals are no longer realistic, that the options available simply do not feel enough, that security and benefits are a thing of the past for her. My guest has thought about all these statistics and questions, and I, for one, am anxious to hear what she has to conclude. Our guest today is, here she is, Shalini Prijadarshini. Shalini, welcome to Unlocked.
Thank you, Madeline. It's an honor to be here.
Oh, it's an honor to have you.
Looking forward to having a conversation with you today.
Oh, me too. Me too. Well, let me tell the audience a tad about you. She's the Chief Operating Officer of Mom Relaunch Foundation. She's a woman of many talents, however, and skills and interests. She's got degrees in sustainable environmental planning and design and in graphic design and advertising. She's been a program manager, a coach, a facilitator, a fundraiser, a master gardener. Oh boy, that's exciting. A landscape architect, which totally impresses me because I have tried to design gardens in my own home. It's really hard. And last but not least, she's a mosaic artist. What a delight to have such a well-rounded individual to come join me. So welcome again.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, let's begin with, you're an extremely experienced person, skills, everything from graphic design to neighborhood redevelopment to environmental planning, etc. What's the biggest lesson you have learned from your breadth of experience and vision?
Yeah, that's a really good question because I believe, I've long studied Buddhist teachings, and everything is subject to change according to some of the teachings. And nothing is permanent in life. And I have always believed in growing and learning, and not just staying in the
Mm,
same place.
yeah.
And some of it has been circumstantial also. We had to move, and I had trouble finding a job in the new place, so I pivoted to a different career, and other things like that. But because of all these experiences that I've had, I feel like I have grown tremendously,
Mm,
and I've had a lot of really great colleagues and people that I have worked with who have taught me so many things about a variety of things. And I consider myself as like an all-rounder. And and as a result, I have become more adaptable because I'm able to,
mm,
navigate different situations with ease.
mhm,
Um, I have learned the importance of being flexible and open-minded. And, that is another skill that is needed no matter what job you do.
Absolutely.
Um, and dealing with setbacks is another thing that I feel like I am good at. I'm very resilient because of, the different experiences, different struggles I've had throughout my career. I had to take a career break, and we will talk a little bit more about that later. But just doing all of this, it's like it's been very rewarding in some ways as well because I have grown personally.
Mhm.
And and become very versatile because
Mm.
of all
Oh,
these experiences.
what do you consider to be your crowning achievement? And by the way, I have to tell you, when I prepare for these sessions, I always ask teenagers to give me questions that they want to ask the guest if they were sitting in my seat. And this is one of their questions. What do you consider to be your crowning achievement?
Wow, that's a really not an easy question to answer because I don't consider myself um, like doing things to always like to be recognized.
Mhm.
So I think I would say my crowning achievement is the trust and love I've received from people I work with.
Ah,
And and again, like, I'm a modest person, and to be brutally honest, this is something hard for people to see in me. Accomplishing small things for
mhm.
more people gives me more joy than going after huge achievements for
Oh,
myself.
oh, I love that. So often when I'm interviewing, particularly women, they talk about the circuitous route of their career,
Uh-huh.
and like you, it's they feel the sense of accomplishment at many places, but it's not because it's not that they're working to some great, or they maybe eventually want to work
Yeah.
toward a grow, but they see those little pieces. So what draws you to working with mothers who want to relaunch their careers?
Several reasons, but I would say a couple that stand out to me, or at least are most important to me, is because I've been there myself. I have experienced it. I've had a long career break, and I had trouble getting back to work. So I can empathize. I can totally relate to them. And
How
then,
long were you gone for a while?
oh, it was more than 10 years.
Ah,
It was a
okay.
long time.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that I was not doing anything. That's a misconception people have about
Absolutely.
moms taking career breaks. I used to volunteer so much that my son once said to me, Mom, why don't they just give you a room at my school, because you're always here. But another reason I feel is important to me, is I can relate to that feeling of being unseen. And I have talked to numerous women who have been out of work, and you go to an event, you meet people, and people, that's the first question people ask you, what do you do?
Mm,
And if you say I'm a homemaker, they walk away. They can't figure out what conversation to have with you. So like I have seen that, I have heard that from many moms, and i can i I can relate to that feeling of being unseen, unheard, and often not even being respected
mm,
because
mm,
they're not financially independent,
mhm.
not just by friends and the community, but even sometimes their own families. And another reason I feel, which is kind of a little esoteric, but I think women have a huge role to play in environmental stewardship.
Yeah.
And helping them become financially independent, not just in the United States, but in all parts of the world, it can have a huge impact on the natural environment as well as
Yeah.
our economy. Yeah.
Yes, I remember hearing that from it, not directly, but certainly in her writings. Wangari Maathai, who
Mhm.
was the woman who planted many, many trees in Africa,
Right.
she said that women were critical in
Yes.
restoring the environment. Yeah. Ah, gosh. I can so relate to what you're saying. This aspect of feeling that you don't count because you don't have some financial number that
Hmm.
that you earn. And I'm thinking about my mother. She was born in 1915.
Hmm.
Okay, and she figured out that if you're going to be independent, you have to be economically independent. So she raised her three daughters to be economically independent. And we all three of us have done
That's
that.
so awesome to hear. Yeah, I mean, she
Yeah.
figured it out early and
Figured it
see
out early when nobody
how
was
it
talking
impacted
about
you.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I know, and I think about it, and it's probably because when she was working, because she did work until she got married, and then she ran the farm. I mean, we were on a farm, and she ran the farm and did all kinds of work. But before that, she was a bookkeeper, earning I think $2 a week. But of course,
Wow.
that was many years ago.
Hmm.
No future. All right. Well, now women have been in the workforce in significant numbers for many years.
Hmm.
What do you think is the difference between a workforce even today that women still need help to re-enter?
Yeah, that's such an important question because, people often think that if women want to come back to work, what's holding them back, and you're right. Women's participation in the workforce has been gradually increasing in the last 100 years because of the suffrage movement and the feminist movement and many other factors, right? Um, but I think despite all the recent diversity DEI programs that companies have, and a lot of companies have a full-time dedicated person, like the bigger companies, to who handles their DEI programs. And despite all of that, in our experience at Mom Relaunch, which I will talk about a little bit later, is the fact that um, women are still not getting that equal opportunity, and they face a lot of challenges, and I can count some of them right here, because they are the primary caregivers, and it makes it challenging for them to continue working. So, like, almost, like you mentioned when you were doing the introduction to today's show, almost 43% women take career breaks when they start a family.
Mm-hmm.
And people don't recognize that, and a lot of people don't see why they should take a career break, but there are many reasons why they take a career break, and maternity leave is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of companies don't offer good maternity programs still.
Right. I
They
took
are very
I
limited.
took 2 years off myself because
Oh,
I
really?
wanted to make sure that my daughter had a good start in life. That
Yeah,
was
yeah.
that was my reason. I think many women feel that way.
Yeah, exactly. And some don't have that option, and I know it's difficult for them. But for those who take that break, especially in technology jobs where technology changes
Yeah,
very quickly. So 2 years can make a huge difference in
huge,
what you did
huge.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
And childcare opportunities are still very limited for young kids until they start school.
Mm.
So that's one of the factors. And of course, we all know that women share an unequal load of housework even today, in this day and age. And 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 that's something we are trying to do at Mom Relaunch. We're trying to educate families and men and children to support moms and spouses, to be able to give time to themselves and not
What,
just work, 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 work all the time.
yeah.
Yeah.
What, where what do you see as the greatest place, the most important place where they need the most help?
Um, One thing I have seen working with many women in the last couple of years is that despite the fact that they are handling so many different things in their families' lives, their calendars, and and so many things, when they are trying to get back to work, they are number one thing I feel is the confidence,
Mm,
and and because they did work before, or even if they didn't work before, they had some aspirations, and when they take a career break, they feel that they may be ready, but they may not have all the right skills, so
mm.
there's anxiety, and that causes a loss of confidence. And that's one thing that I've seen across the board, like the women who work with us, they're able to return to work as more confident women, and
Ah, good.
yeah.
Good. It's a really important quality.
Yeah.
I mean, I talk a lot about resilience, and one of the things that's most important is that you know who you are, because
Hmm.
just simply knowing who you are
Hmm.
builds your confidence.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, Now, this is somewhat related, because I'm curious about this. What are some of the differences and similarities between your work as a leader and your work as an artist?
That's a great question, because people don't often equate the two, right?
Mhm.
And but we do know that leaders have to be creative. You can't be a good leader um, if you're just going to be very rigid and very structured. You can't manage like a diverse team. And I like to believe that like Simon Sinek says, the whole idea about servant leadership.
Mm,
To be a servant leader, you have to be very free thinking and very flexible
mm,
in your thinking.
yeah.
And I am, as being an artist and being a creative person in my previous career, um, I think it has given me a lot of like qualities to see the bigger picture, for example,
Mm,
or being a free thinker. So I welcome ideas from other people. And one thing that I really, if you talk to my team, they will tell you is I love to brainstorm ideas. And oftentimes I see people coming up with ideas, and then they want those ideas to be implemented right away. That's not how it should work, because if you get tied down to your idea too early, it can be detrimental to the team and to the organization. So being able to generate multiple ideas, and then finding the best idea out of that should
mm,
be the
mm.
way people should work. And being a leader, I think that's a quality leaders need to have, to be able to distill through those ideas and find what works for the organization.
Oh, I think that I really agree with you so strongly. The idea of, as a leader, what you want to do is you want to open the field for all the
Mhm.
possibilities, because you never know when there's an unexpected idea.
Yeah.
I'm a big one on unexpected. Is in fact the best solution, or it sparks the reason why you should do another one. Yeah, and I think I've said this on the show before. Whenever I put a team together, I almost always try to have an artist be on the team.
Yeah.
And
That's great.
when you have a group of experts, they kind of look at each other and say, why is this artist on the team? And after a while, they discover that the artists ask questions that nobody else would ask.
Hmm.
And it's not because they're ignorant, it's because they see more or they see differently. So I can see how this would lead you to see more, see a bigger perspective. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah. And I think, yeah, you're right. I mean, because of my background, I think I am a bigger picture thinker. I've always been actually a bigger picture thinker, but it has really helped me in seeing
Mhm.
things
Mhm.
and not taking offense to, other people's, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, you promised to talk about Mom Relaunch. So
yes.
let's talk about that. What's its mission? What have you done? I'll leave it to you.
Right. So, yeah, so Mom Relaunch was founded about 5 years ago by Reena Gupta.
Mhm.
And the mission is very simple: to make every woman financially independent.
Yay.
Just exactly like what your mom realized so many years ago, right?
Yeah.
And it's so important, like some of the things we have discussed earlier. It is very important for women to be financially independent, and so she had worked in the staffing industry for a long time, and she saw all these women come to her who had been on career breaks, and how difficult, how much problem they were having getting back to work. So she started Mom Relaunch to work with women in those situations. Now through the years we have seen, like we were discussing earlier, confidence is like a common theme I have seen in many women. And, we have numerous testimonials from people who have told us that um, having that confidence to go through the technical interview, for example,
Ah.
was very important to them, and that's one thing that we really help them with.
Now,
And
do you actually teach them how to do better interviews when they go for jobs?
so we help them with mock interview sessions, we help them with resumes, we help them with many soft skills, and being prepared.
Mhm.
And I hear an echo in my voice. Is that
No, it's okay. I don't hear any here.
okay? Right. So we like try to prepare them to be accountable, productive, and loyal. And that's one thing that we have found with all the people that we have placed is nobody has been
Nobody has. I didn't hear you.
nobody ever has been let go of, because they are ready, when they go back to work. And some of the things that we help them with is just finding them mentors, or having, just a perception that it's okay to take a career break, and how to
Mhm.
figure out like work-life balance, and other things. So how to find their transferable skills, because everyone has skills, everyone can utilize their skills. So
Mhm.
all of these things we help them with, so which really helps in
How do
preparing
you
them.
how do you help them find those skills?
Yeah, so so first thing that we do, so actually let me actually track back and tell you about our the 5-step journey that we
Ah,
have.
perfect.
It is, we call it the seedling to the mother tree journey.
Oh, I love that image.
And yeah, and we are developing a new website, so you will be able to see more details on that soon. So seedling is the stage when they come to us, and we do a career discovery session with them to find out what they have done in the past, what
Mm.
they're looking for, what are their challenges, and where can we help them. And based on that, we give them a recommendation. So what you were asking earlier, that's how we help them figure out what they want in life, and what are the transferable skills, excuse me, they're bringing from their previous career, or their education, or whatever else they have done in life. So that's how they are able to identify their skills. And then we help them identify what it is they need, any trainings they need, any soft skills they need to develop, or um, resumes and mock interviews are always helpful. Some people need to become more confident speakers, so they can do better. So we have lots of programming where where we just do like these impromptu sessions of discussing and speaking, and it's a very forgiving space because it's everyone is like in the same boat, and having that community, it's really helpful to be with moms who are in the same situation as you.
Mhm.
It's very empowering.
Mhm.
And then so next stage becomes sapling, where they get the trainings or whatever else they need. Once they are trained or certified, we call it the growing tree, which is the project launch pad, where they get hands-on experience working on projects. So if you are, for example, some of the technologies we offer are like Salesforce, IBM, project management, is not a technology really, but tech support specialist or something like that. So we give them projects, hands-on, real-time hands-on projects to work on,
Mhm.
and that
Mhm.
really helps them with that confidence to be able to apply what they have learned. And once they are ready with all of these skills, they're becoming a flourishing tree now.
Mhm.
And that's when they start applying for jobs and hopefully find a job. Now, once they are working, we ask them to become mother trees to other moms in the program and extend their branches, extend their support, mentorship, whatever else they need, other moms need. So that's the 5-step journey that we like to call.
I think that's a remarkably complex set of activities that you do. And of course, it is a fairly complex task that you're trying to
Yes.
do, to
Yeah.
take someone who has been out of circulation, so to speak, and to get them ready to go back in
Mhm.
successfully, and with
Yeah, and like our founder, Rena, one of the things I really liked, she said once, this is the toughest nut to crack. It's not easy. It's not easy to work with these women because they have so many issues, in their
Mhm,
personal lives or whatever else. So it's very rewarding. It's very fulfilling actually to be able
mhm.
to
Now,
work.
are you located in a way that you only serve people in your local community, or is it are
We are fully remote. We are fully remote. So we have
Mhm.
people from all over the US, Canada. There is one person from Ireland.
Ah,
Last year we had somebody from Germany, and we also have a couple of people from India who have worked with us before, and Kenya, and yeah, so all over. So we have no geographical boundaries because we were remote even before the pandemic started, actually, because that's the nature of the work, and we want to be able to reach out to as many women as possible. Yeah.
and not only that, it also opens more possibilities for those women who might be unable to attend something,
Yeah.
this way they
Yeah.
can just do it from home. That's
Yeah.
fantastic, fantastic. Uh, I think you've answered my next question, which was what are the ways? I love the tree metaphor, though. Uh,
Mhm.
trees are something that are very special to me. I love trees. So I like that one. Uh, I'm wondering if you developed any parallel activities to bring this issue to people's minds. Um,
Mhm.
things like legislative action or community outreach.
Yeah, we do some community outreach. We do local conferences, events, online events. Um, I'm on this podcast with this wonderful podcast with you. um, Thank you for having me. But we also like to engage with people on social media to
Mhm,
speak about these issues. And we are a nonprofit, so we do have budgetary constraints in how much we can
mhm.
do. We would like to reach out to more people, and we are trying to do some fundraising. So if anybody is interested in working with us, would love to connect with them.
How can they
Um,
how can they get in touch with you?
so the best way to get in touch with us is by sending an email to info@momrelaunch.org,
Okay.
and we would love to chat with people who want to give us some grants or help us, in any other way, provide mentorship to our moms. We would love to have mentors for our moms as well.
Ah,
We want to be able to, so like we like to say, adopt a mom. So having one-on-one mentorship, I think, is has we have seen like great results. Not just us, but in general, research has shown that having a one-on-one mentor is very helpful.
what do you look for somebody to say, "Hey, I want to be a mentor"? What would you look for to make sure they would really be a good mentor?
So I think one thing that I would say in a good mentor would be, to be able to connect with the person you're mentoring,
Yeah.
and understanding their needs,
Mm,
and coming from a place where you can support them in the way that they need the support.
connection. I think that is so important. I remember some of the early work in mentorship. They found that it was really important that the people related to one another on some
Mhm.
level. So yeah, being able to reach out, that's
And
fantastic.
then of course, I mean, provide them with like some goals, like bigger picture of from their experience,
Mm-hmm.
what this person can aspire to, maybe some things they're not able to see, right? And grow.
Yeah. How many women have gone through the Mom Relaunch programs?
Yeah, so we're not a huge program. We have about 2,000 people who have signed up in the last 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Not everyone joined the program. We have about, on an ongoing basis, we have about 40 to 50 people in the program.
Mm-hmm.
And we have relaunched about 100 successfully.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so it's not a huge program, but whatever we do, it's with impact and with quality. We like to say that our moms are very accountable, very loyal, very productive, and
Mhm.
we like to stand behind them.
That's fantastic. Do, do you have any testimonials from your moms that have gone through? I always like to hear it
Sure.
in the words, but you don't have it with you.
Yeah, sure. I was trying to remember, like, we do actually make these videos occasionally, which we put out on social media.
Hmm.
But again, it's time is the constraint. We don't have a big enough core team. But I will share one with you, which really, really made a lot of impact on me. How we were able to help her. So I'm just going to read it out to you.
Sure.
Before joining Mom Relaunch, I was having problems coming up to speed with my communication skills during interviews because of my career break. It is difficult to interact with others while staying at home. Going through the program, communicating with other moms on a day to day basis on projects allowed me to express myself and improve my communication on both technical and social aspects. This helped during interviews. I could see an improvement. The program also gave me that extra push to take initiative and start on tasks by taking ownership.
Mm.
This later helped me on the job. Taking initiative and ownership and successfully finishing tasks also boosted my confidence. There are a lot of opportunities at Mom Relaunch, but you just have to take the initiative.
Oh, that's fantastic. And I'll tell you what came to my mind as you were reading that. When I work with teens, we often will have a discussion about what they want to do, of course. And of course, teenagers are mostly interested in where they're going to go next after high school. Um, but I always make sure that we have some conversation about their friends, and how do they select their friends? How do they choose to stay with their friends? And it's a very uncomfortable conversation for them because they feel loyal to their friends. But over time, very gently, they begin to see, this person is a good friend of mine because, and then they be able to say why that person is good. Now, why do I say I'll talk about this? Because as you were talking about the women who have been home with children for many years, their conversation tends to be more limited if that's the only social aspect they have in their lives. And we forget the fact that, yes, we know English, we can talk, but their lives are very much influenced by working with their children. And you have to be able to step away and say, okay, how do I speak now in an adult crowd who's going to be expecting things of me? Now, am I taking this too far, Shalini?
No, I think you're absolutely right, because that is a huge factor. I think women, because of that lack of interaction, and many skills, like you were asking me, what kind of transferable skills can they leverage? And I would say, sometimes, especially in today's work environment, where a lot of the work is done remotely, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of meetings are remotely, or done remotely. Sometimes it takes a certain experience level to be able to even get on Zoom, right? And
Yes, yes.
we've had people who have come to the first session that we have with them, the career discovery session, and they are not able to even turn on their video because they don't know how.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So those are some of the things that they need to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very important that they work with a program like ours. We are a workforce development organization. We work with companies like Salesforce and IBM, and there is another one called Data Camp, which we haven't really been able to do much because we haven't had too many women coming on that career path. Um, but employers are looking for people who are ready,
Yeah,
and they don't have time to
yeah,
train them. And so the value of organizations such as Mom Relaunch is tremendous. And because we know where the gaps are. We have worked with moms, we have worked with women, we know where the gaps are. We can help them prepare for that career. And it's little things that can make a huge difference. I'll give you one example, quick example of one mom. We also offer this thing called try before you hire. So we offer companies like up to 100 hours of like trying the mom to see if she'll work
mm-hmm.
out with them. They can either do pro bono, or the company, it's up to the company if they want to
Mm-hmm.
pay. She did that, and they told us after like a week and a half they didn't want to continue with it. And so I reached out to her. I talked to her and I said, "Tell me exactly what happened." And she told me that they were getting on Google Meet and she didn't know how to share her screen or something of that sort. And then a couple of other things similar to that happened. And they didn't have patience to work with her. That's their loss, not her loss. You
Yeah.
need to give them some ramp up time, and they didn't
Y-
have that patience.
You know,
But
go
I
ahead.
will tell you about her. She was so resilient, and I was so happy to see that. She came back, she learned the skills that she didn't have. And then she went back and she got not to the same company, but she found a job soon after that. So yeah, so some of those skills are definitely needed, and that's what we try to help them with. Now,
Mhm.
there are so many different platforms that we can't prepare everyone for everything.
Yeah,
So it's good to be, for the companies, I think we like to set that expectation
yeah,
of,
yeah.
it's not that she's not the right person. Just give her some time.
Give it some
It's
time. It's funny when you hire someone who is young, you expect to give them some teaching.
Yeah, exactly. And moms are
I
the
have an
same.
intern that works with me. Well, I don't expect certain things from her. Instead, I use time to teach as well.
Yeah,
Uh, Whereas you have an adult who comes in,
yeah,
they've raised children, they're in maybe their 40s, their 50s. Well, they should know how to do this. Well, they don't because
yeah,
they haven't had the reason. Not
yeah,
not They just don't have a reason to have learned all these things. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Just
even the
because you don't know an app
vocabulary.
doesn't mean you can't do it, right?
That's right.
So yeah,
Or that you can't learn. That's right. I remember when I first went to the World Bank, they had terms that they used for very particular ways. I mean, such things as fungibility. I mean, you don't use that word, right? But you
yeah,
had to
yeah.
learn that word very quickly. It was very important in the bank. And I'm
Mhm.
sure that's today. Maybe it wouldn't be fungibility, it would be something else. But you have to have that time to learn. Well, let's get specific. What are some strategies that women who decide they want to return to the workforce? Maybe they want to help themselves a bit before they reach out to Mom Relaunch, but they do want to return to the workforce. How can they enhance their chances of getting a good job, or maybe I should say a suitable job?
Yeah, so I mean, I do want to remind you and your audience as well that we mostly work with technology jobs.
Hmm.
Now, there are three or four major areas where we help them prepare. So and women who are returning to work, like we were just discussing, these are like some of the major areas that they need to look at. So developing these workplace readiness skills, like how to get on Zoom, how to, sometimes even in Zoom you have to create breakout rooms and things like that. So just having a basic comfort level with some of these
Hmm.
platforms, and then having a good working knowledge of like things like Microsoft Office or Google Suite, or if you're going to be in technology, learning Agile and Scrum is also very helpful. um, Learning project management, it's not going to hurt you. Or even like communication platforms like Slack or Basecamp, those are definitely used in a remote work environment these days. And even if companies are not remote, they are using things like Slack.
Hmm.
So having a basic understanding of how to use them, and you can do that by just getting on them, taking, there are tons and tons of free content out there that you can learn,
Hmm.
and taking courses is very important. Don't just think that I have the technical certification, so I'm ready for a job. You need all these other skills as well to get a job.
Hmm.
Um, and how to leverage. So, the second thing I would say is how to leverage your transferable skills, such as, if you're a good communicator, how do you leverage that? How do you, um, if you are good at organizing things, how do you present yourself as a good
Hmm.
organizer?
Hmm.
Show some numbers, show some KPIs, or if you don't have that, give some examples of what you have done. Having a portfolio is helpful.
I
Uh,
think that's a very interesting point, to show what you have done.
yes,
I mean, because let's face it, as a mom, you have to solve some pretty tough problems.
absolutely.
And just thinking back, oh, yes, I remember when my son had this difficulty and we had to do all these things and we eventually resolved it. And I mean, that's real project management, it's problem solving. Yeah,
Absolutely. Mhm.
good, good.
Yeah, so having a portfolio, I really like having a portfolio, and I keep telling all moms, not everyone likes to create portfolios, but having a portfolio where you can showcase, you can put screenshots of things that you have created,
Yeah,
documents you have created, or
yeah,
things you have organized, or, you
yeah,
know, things that you have done.
yeah,
And so I'm a great believer in that. And coming from a design background, I think portfolio is so important
yeah.
to
Well,
showcase what you've done.
I want to flip it now. What
Yeah,
should a leader do to make it easier to bring women back into their organizations?
great question. No, I think as a leader, you just need to create more opportunities for
Mm,
women. And a lot of, like, when you said when you have a young intern, you hit the nail on the head. We see young interns, we bring them in, we are willing to train them. We are not willing to do the same for women because we think they should be ready
yeah.
somehow.
Yeah.
and just creating those opportunities for women. Most companies still don't offer, and when I talk to companies, I do suggest, offering internships or apprenticeships to
Mhm.
women. Most companies don't think of that.
Yeah.
They have never even entertained that idea. And they would, happily hire young interns, but
Mhm.
they will not think of bringing in moms from career breaks as interns or apprentices.
Mhm.
Pay them a little less. They're okay with that. They are willing to get back, and they're ready, and they are willing to be relaunched. So see them as a great asset to your company, and give
Yeah.
more opportunities to them.
Yeah.
Give them a chance, trust their ability,
Mhm.
and be willing to guide them if they need some guidance.
Mhm. Fantastic. Uh, Charlene, this has been so much. I hate to say it, it's been fun talking about this. You know, I've worked with gender issues for many years, and this is just another gender issue. And it's just wonderful that there's somebody like you who's doing this kind of work uh, to just make that transition for help women make that transition. I wonder if, and you've you've given me so many new ideas. I wonder if you have any closing remarks that you would like to offer to our audience.
Yeah, absolutely. I do have, I sometimes get very vocal and agitated about these issues because I work so closely with women, but I feel, there is a lot of work that needs to be done to bring women, into the workforce. In our country, I don't know if I shared this. I don't think I got a chance to share this earlier, but especially in technology, only 27% of the jobs are done by women currently. And out of those 20%, only 3% are Black women
Mm,
and 2% are Latino.
mm,
So there is a lot of work that needs to be done, not just for women returning from career breaks, but also in general for women. And society just needs to come together to make it happen, and we need to figure out what are the issues that are holding them back, whether
mhm.
it's companies who are not giving them opportunities, or employers, or families. Women don't feel supported by their families sometimes, and they have to do an unfair burden, they have to share an unfair burden of work.
Yeah. So if
And
people have ideas, they can send to info at
relaunch.org.
momrelaunch.org.
Mhm.
Fantastic. Shalini, thank you so much. It's been
Yeah,
such a
yeah.
pleasure.
It's been a pleasure to talk to you, and I look forward to seeing you again.
Very good. Thank
All
you.
right.
Ah, what a great conversation. You know, when I get to the end of the conversation, I always like to share with you some book that has had impact on my life. And I thought about our theme today, and I've selected a book that really speaks to the issue of women and their work. And I think you're going to hear some echoes of what Shalini just said from the book that I'm about to share with you. And this is one, by the way, that my mother recommended to me. It's called A Gift from the Sea by Anne Morrow Lindbergh. Now, we have all learned the name Lindbergh for the man who made history by making the first nonstop flight from New York to Paris, flying over the Atlantic for the first time. Charles Lindbergh also had a wife. It was she, Anne Morrow Lindbergh, who wrote Gift from the Sea. That's what it looks like, Gift from the Sea. It was written in 1955, and its message is as relevant today as it must have been then, because one reviewer said it has truths in it that come from the heart and soul of a female mind. Another said, I read this book at least once a year. The story is that Anne Lindbergh goes to stay alone at a beach cabin. No husband, no children. She goes there to reflect. And in the process, she discovers herself a wife, mother, and career woman, yet finds finally that she herself matters. I want to read a short passage to you. Here is a strange paradox. Woman instinctively wants to give, yet resents giving herself in small pieces. Basically, is this a conflict? Or is it an oversimplification of a many-stranded problem? I believe that what woman resents is not so much giving herself in pieces as giving herself purposelessly. Purposelessly. That word, purposeless. When I was able myself to discover my purpose in life, it turned out to be one that I could do working on my career or weeding the garden. It was a marvelous revelation and one that energizes me still. And as I thought about the power of knowing your purpose, I was reminded of ways that any woman can do to discover her for herself. And while I'm speaking to women, it is only to reinforce today's subject. If you're a man, you will find that any of these ideas will suit you as well. So here are my suggestions. Get to know yourself beyond the dimension of mother. And if you don't have a cabin to retreat to, who has a beach cabin to retreat to? Perhaps just reading a few pages of her book will suffice to open a door to a new insight. Number 2, and this is something that I've got also, it was echoed in Shalini's comments. Ask a friend to tell you why they continue to wish to be your friend. I think I've done this, and I think you'll find you'll learn amazing things about yourself. Number 3, consider the skills and knowledge you learned by being a mother. Reading between the lines, fighting for justice for your children, balancing a checkbook, doing some plumbing. I mean, let's face it, we're problem solvers. Creating a meal from leftovers that everyone said, oh, it's delicious. Those are things you've done. Those are skills and knowledge that you've learned. And number 4, inventory things that bring you joy, especially at unexpected moments. In the mornings, I love to go out on my patio and I look out. We're on a farm, and so I look out on the fields, and I might see a little flower nearby glistening with dew. And it gives me enormous joy just to see that, even though I might not expect it. So inventory those things that bring you joy. And then, of course, there are the practical things like getting enough sleep, exercising, learning a new skill. Oh, learning a new skill. I recently learned cribbage, and it was so much fun because now at night when I'm too tired to read, I can play some cribbage. Anne Morrow Lindbergh's Gift from the Sea. I hope you find it and read it. You'll learn more about my show at my website, madelineblair.com/unlockedtv, where you can find all the previous shows. And if you have a topic or comment or question that you'd like me to deal with, just email me at madeline@madelineblair.com. Thank you for joining me on this segment of Unlocked. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, make a comment on social media and say something that you learned and might do differently. And if you're on YouTube, click the like button. And better yet, subscribe. I'm Madeline Blair, wishing you infinite possibilities as you unlock your resilience.